Welcome back to the Free Fair Podcast. My name is Scotty Kramer III, and today we have Jake and Chase on the pod to talk about New Year's goals, eating habits, getting stuck in negative thoughts, surviving with mental health, and more. But first, here's a few dates to look out for. We have the Take the Crown Women's Tournament, March 3rd. The Summer Sweeper Series begins May 13th and will end in late July for the series finale. The Free of Fear Doubles Bash, May 18th and 19th. And the Free of Fear Holiday Classic will be December 20th and 21st. So there's our year right now with many dates to be added for different events. And don't forget to check out the website, freeoffearclothing.com. I hope you enjoy the show. So we are 17 days into 2024.
Yes, sir.
That's already, that's nuts, bro. Tell me it's been 2.5 weeks since the freaking New Year. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's going by fast already.
2023 was crazy, honestly. I did a little bit of everything in 2023. I don't know about you guys.
I didn't do a lot in 2023.
Chase said, no, not me.
It was a down year for me.
No, I would say 2023 was really the year where I became a better version of myself. Honestly, this was like a pivotal year for me.
So I feel that way to a point, but then I think back to certain points in 2023, and I'm like, oh, do we really call that the best version of ourselves? You know what I mean? Like if I was still, believing or doing these certain things, like, how is that,
Right.
But I would say, and even towards the end, like, bad things happened. You know what I mean? Like,
right, but I feel like I was in the healthiest
mental
mindset.
Space to deal with it, yeah.
Like, I feel like it wasn't as much that I wasn't able to not handle it.
I think I'm probably a year behind that in terms of, like, this year is that year for me to where I feel like I can handle whatever comes at me, you know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm trying to get to. And this past year was just, like, I had glimpses of, like, oh, you can deal with that. Like, you can do that. And then I also had moments where I just kind of reverted into a former version of myself of, like, yeah, let's just not deal with it. You know what I mean? Let's just not deal with it at all, not do anything.
I feel very similar, except it was mostly the former version of myself that didn't deal with it.
Right.
I feel like, I hate to be that guy, but I feel like this really is going to be a good year for me, you know what I mean? Because I'm feeling the same way with my outlook for the year.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Right, you just have to go into every day with a positive mindset and energy and
there's two types of New Year's people that are annoying. There's the annoying kind that's like, my New Year's resolution is this. Like, I'm going to lose weight or I'm going to stop doing this, and that's not the case. But And then there's somebody like when you start talking about your life, bro, I feel like that's the most serious you can get. Like, that's what you mean for real. People can say that, I'm going to lose weight, but until you actually just get serious about it, you're not going to. But nobody's ever just like, oh, I'm going to, make my life better.
Right.
And they're just joking. Like, usually you start talking about that stuff, you really mean it, and you're really going to put in the work to get to the point that you want to be at. And it's, I wouldn't say easier, but, I mean, losing weight, stuff like that, that's a lot more of a physical challenge and as well as a mental challenge. Like, you change your outlook, you can do all that other stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's the way I look at it.
No, for sure. What was your guys' New Year's resolution, like, for yourself?
I don't really do the resolution thing.
Okay, what is something that you want for yourself?
Yeah, that's what I do. It's kind of like, all right, what can I
falls
improve upon? You know what I mean? I mean, I know it's the same idea, but when I say resolution, it's either like I fail or I don't. I feel like if I strive for improvement in certain aspects, then it's less of a do or don't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's much more obtainable.
Yeah.
And much more, like, realistic.
And it's a lot easier for me to see, like, over time, if I think back to, okay, well, this is what I wanted to improve on. Like, where was I at in my head at that point compared to now? Like, I don't know, it's easier for me to see than to set goals of certain milestones. I feel like also when you get to those milestones, you just kind of stop, too, a lot of times.
Right.
So if you're just constantly striving for improvement, it's just constant growth that you're looking at. You're not looking at an endpoint necessarily.
So is there anything, though?
My biggest thing is getting on a schedule and getting on, like, being able to just train myself to do, you know, whatever's needed of me for the week. Like sometimes I have off weeks where I'm not doing very much, and I need to just be able to get up and do something, even if it's not necessarily productive, but just to be able to get up even though I don't have any plans for the day. You know what I mean? Like I don't have anything necessarily to do. Like I've done what I need to do for the week, and my next week's my busy week, so I kind of want to take the week off, but then it just like kills me, bro. Come that next week, it just makes that next week so much harder sometimes.
Yeah.
Chase, do you have anything for the new year that you're wanting to get better?
Yeah. I'm trying to like not, for lack of a better word, I'm trying to not like wallow in like negative thoughts and negative feelings as much. And I'm trying to like
try not to give them as much power.
Exactly. Like feel it, embrace it, and learn from it and move on.
Right.
I had a friend tell me that recently.
You just actually got to do the move on part. That's the
Right.
hardest part of the
Exactly. That
whole
is the
sequence.
hardest part.
Yeah, and it's the last part. It's where
Yeah.
everybody gets stuck.
I really just want to get on a better eating routine.
Yeah.
I feel like my eating habits have gone to shit. Like that was probably one of the worst things that happened in 2023 for me.
Define shit though. Like you just don't
So,
like
like-
what you're eating, or
So when I eat, more or less. So like, I won't eat until 3:00 in the afternoon for the first time.
oh, so you're skipping two
Right.
meals.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. But then I'll eat at least once, maybe twice more before I go to sleep.
Yeah.
So I really want to eat before noon, and I want to eat before midnight. I really
Yeah.
want to keep myself on that,
Yeah.
just so I can get my dietary
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's important shit, man.
Give yourself one before noon, one.
I try to do 3 hours before I go to sleep.
Make sure to eat something. Even I think the biggest thing for me too, because I skip breakfast a lot.
I do
But
too.
I'll just eat something. Just to even if I eat half of it, I have something that I've ate. You know what I mean? In the morning, that I'm not pushing myself till at least lunch or even after to eat.
Right.
Because I was the same way, where I was eating 3 times a day, but it was all between 3 and midnight. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like that slider that Abby brought us, that was the first thing that I had today.
Right.
But after this, I'm probably going to go and pick something up before I head home. So I mean, we ate slightly before noon.
Yeah,
Probably right at.
probably.
But I'm doing good so far, I think,
Good.
throughout the new year. I think I've only ate past midnight a couple of times throughout the whole year so far. I'm still working on breakfast. I'm still working on before noon. But
Yeah.
working at Blaze is really helping me because I can just order from there and I go in at 10:30.
The more that you eat before midnight, though, and then allow yourself that extra time, the hungrier you'll
Right,
be in the
yeah.
morning,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
So,
I have noticed that.
Yeah,
I have noticed that. I'm getting hungrier earlier.
because I'll do that, too. I mean,
Yeah.
you get hungry at night, and I'll eat a pack of Pop-Tarts or something like that.
Just
or,
something small to snack
yeah,
on.
and it's enough to just, like, when I wake
Get
up,
you
I'm
by,
like,
not really hungry.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, if I eat, I'm not going to feel good. That's what
Right,
that's always
exactly.
the way I
It's
feel.
just enough that it's still sitting on your
Yeah,
stomach. when you
exactly.
wake up.
Yep, exactly.
Not a good place to be.
My eating habits are bad, dude. I really am the type of person to forget to eat. Like, it's not good.
I think that's all in what you just talked about, though. Like, when you're not in that mental space of, like, being stuck, like we're talking about, and you're, getting out of that, and you're, like, you'll become way more self-aware.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we've all three been in that situation. I mean, me and Jacob lived in that situation at the same time.
Dude.
At the house, like, when we lived together, you know what I mean? Like, where we were living in the same house and, like, just chilling in our rooms, not talking, you know what I mean? Like, and then once we got out of that and we kind of got around each other, we were like, oh, like, I'm doing this now and I'm doing this now. You know what I mean? Like, and things just change after that, bro. That's the biggest step, I feel like.
Yeah.
No, it is.
Is getting out of that initial rough space that you feel stuck. That I keep saying stuck because that's literally what it feels
That's
like.
how
bro.
it feels.
yeah.
I use the terminology, you wake up and you just feel like a zombie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your days just repeat. Like, it's so hard to pull yourself out of that.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Once you do, it's freeing, though.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
Like, it feels like a ton of bricks gets lifted off your shoulders.
And you I feel like you avoid it. Like you're so much more. If you get to that point of that self-awareness, like we're talking about, you're like, I can't go back to that.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
I don't. What do I got to do? What do I got to do
to
to avoid that? Which can become unhealthy in its own aspect.
Right.
And I think that's what I ran into, because when I had that initial, like, oh, like I don't have to live that way, bro. I was avoiding it so much that I went the other way. Like I almost did a full 360.
Avoiding the negative feelings to the point where you're just bottling it up.
Exactly. Like I was like, oh, because my thought process was, well, I'm in a better spot now, so like that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But it does. And I wasn't dealing with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the thought process I get stuck in a lot.
You're just kind of pushing it to the back and making sure that you weren't able to react to it.
Right. Yeah, that's the actual, that's, like you said, that's the move on part. Like, because you can embrace it, and then you can learn from it, and you think you're in a better place, and you're like, okay, so it's just not going to bother me anymore. And then...
Well, that's you try to move on without doing the first three. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got to do them all.
Yeah. That's one of the hardest things I've ever gone through.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's tough. Finding something that just gives you that positivity.
Yeah.
Is difficult.
Yeah.
I honestly don't even know what it was for me that pulled me out of it. Like, I can't think back and like say, oh, that's what did it.
That's even better though, because you're not
reliant.
You're relying on that one thing. Exactly. You kind of have this idea now that, like, okay, it'll come. Like, I'll figure something out, which is healthy too. To be able to, like, all right, even though it's bad now, like, I know it's not going to be. You know what I mean?
I know it's not going to be tomorrow, a week from now, 2 weeks.
Exactly.
I know I'll get past it.
So what were some good experiences of 2023? We're all kind of talking about the bad stuff right now. I mean... What was something you did in 2023, or I'm talking about strictly the experience. I'm not talking about necessarily accomplishments. What was something you went through that was like good for you? You know what I mean?
I left errands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting off that schedule, I think, really was the beginning of me like opening my eyes.
Yeah.
I think. And then we ended up moving out a few months later, and then I think that really, no offense, but helped me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm in a much better spot than I was at the time, too.
Right. Like, I don't know how we lived. Like, looking back on it, I genuinely don't know. I didn't have a job for 3 months.
Dude, I didn't have one for much longer than that.
You have bowling.
But, you still have to pay for it,
though. For sure. But, like, I don't know, man. I don't know how I did it.
Were you making a net positive bowling?
I have, like, over periods of time, but nobody makes a net positive. Like, not at an amateur level.
Right.
Without having a backer. At least not in my opinion. You're not enough to live. You can make money, sure, like if you're really good and you pick the right tournaments and stuff like that, it's definitely possible, but you're not going to make enough and always bowl well enough to go,
like live
buy an apartment and live off that shit strictly off of it. You have a backer and you are really good and you pick those tournaments and still everything goes really well, maybe. You know what I mean? But
But at that point, just go pro.
Right. Well, a lot of guys know that there's honestly a lot more money to be won overall in the amateurs, just because the pros get, like, it's really top heavy a lot of the time, and you have to. You're bowling against the best. You know what I mean? Like, if you're really good, and you can be like, well, I'll just go bowl against these pretty decent amateurs for thousands of dollars instead of tens of thousands of dollars against the best. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, overall, you'll make more money on the amateur side, but you only need one win to equal out 10 wins in the other. Sorry, that was random, but no, I was
off course a little bit.
Yeah, my bad. But no, I was not making
get him
enough
talking
money.
about bowling.
What happened?
I brought it up. That's my fault, bro.
But what had happened was
what happened was
I had saved up money from when we got our when we went into the pandemic and we got I can't remember what those checks were called.
The stimulus.
Stimulus checks. I was like right in the bad period where nobody got my money. I didn't get it because I was too young, and my parents didn't get it because I was too old.
Same thing happened with me.
So I got it the year later. Yeah, you still got it. It just we had to wait until we were old enough
still
or whatever.
Time.
Yeah, right. Everybody else
got
had
like a year later.
You were still living on your
Right.
own, so obviously you're old enough to need that check.
Yeah, it came with your tax check, if I remember right. Mm-hmm. So with that and my taxes, I had saved up probably $2,500. So I was like, I quit my job, and I was like, well, I got $2,500, bro. I was like, I can live for a few months at least. Just dumb,
in this
bro.
economy.
Didn't
economy?
Didn't work the whole summer, bro. Into leagues, started leagues without a job. I was like, what am I doing, bro? I was like, what is happening? And then finally, I went to Anderson and got the job there. Yeah, just dumb. Blew $2,500, bro. I mean, just blew it, like, because it wasn't like I was doing anything with it.
Right.
I used it to freaking buy fast food and sit around and play video games all day. Like, it was trash. I mean, like, I remember I enjoyed that time of my life, like, in the moment. I really did have good times with my friends and stuff like that. Like,
right.
I did have a lot of fun. We was doing a lot of crazy shit that summer, you know what I mean? But fuck, what a waste. Like, what a dummy. You know what I mean?
Right. No, for sure. Looking back on it,
I'd much rather have that $2,500. You know what I mean? Like, looking at the way things are now, like, I'd much rather have that $2,500.
Exactly.
Or have at least done something with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even if I bought a new car. You know what I mean? Like, at least that I would have done that with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have done something with the money, but I didn't. And now I'm older and I'm like, $2,500 ain't nothing. Like, I mean,
it's gonna take me a minute, but it'll get me places.
In terms of how fast it goes, $2,500 ain't nothing.
Right.
That's what I meant. Obviously,
I could spend $2,500 in a week,
easily.
And it would go to nothing like that I actually need. It would go to mostly bills.
Yeah. Back to the question. A good experience in 2023 for me was getting out of bowling, like, so serious, and being super invested into everything that was going on, which now I'm even more invested than I was. But because I took that break, I got into different centers and, you know, got away from certain groups, and I was like, oh, this is what I missed. Like, I got into better. Exactly.
More of a healthy.
Exactly. It's a healthy obsession / investment versus before it was just all types of negative energy all around, bro. And so getting out of that and taking that probably month and a half, 2 month break towards the end of the year. Well, it was probably a little longer than that. Towards the end of the season, I just wasn't. I went from bowling 4 or 5 nights a week to 2 when I showed up for both of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I just took a solid break, and now I mean, I love it. Like, I'm seriously having fun all the time. So
good.
Yeah.
That's
good. I'm glad
definitely
one of us
saved the bowling life for sure. You got a good experience in 2023, sir?
Yeah. I had my ex contact me.
Oh.
Which, that wasn't a positive experience. But
that in itself was nice.
But I need you guys to understand, I was obsessed with this girl, okay? Like, and she cheated on me. So, she texted me, and I stood my ground pretty well.
Okay.
And we had we had conversation, and eventually I just cut it off and blocked her, and I feel pretty good about that.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Cutting negative energy out of my life.
Yeah. That's a good answer.
That's a really
good answer. Yeah. That's so... I've never
had that feeling of being able to do that.
Yeah. I'm very bad about... but, like, that's not what they mean, right? Like, you know what I mean? Trying to find the good. Very bad about that. So that's a freeing feeling when you do finally do that. I mean, I've done it, but...
When you look at it objectively.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to get into the details, but yeah, just know it was a very toxic relationship.
Right.
Should get into the details, man.
Let's not get into the details on a public forum.
On a public forum. What have you guys been doing with your free time? Like, just in general, it's your day off. How do you spend your day?
I gotta be honest, I'm still getting out of that rut, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm trying to honestly think, because
I'm gonna answer in a recent. Like a recent answer would be nothing. Like I've enjoyed the break, the holiday, but I do know that it's time to get back on the shit. You know what I mean? Like we gotta.
I feel like on the days that I do work, I'm busy.
Yeah, and is it a good busy or bad busy? That's what I'm asking.
A little bit of both.
Like that's one of the biggest boosts to your health, like mental health, is just having that feeling of I did this on my off day, like blah blah blah, and waking up the next day going to work. And if you can always think about, like, I'm contributing, I'm making my life better by being here, by going to work, by cleaning this object, like, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, and not always reverting back to but the bed looks so comfortable, bro. Like, I could lay there for about 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Because you know it's not 10 minutes. Like, if you can have that discipline, good for you. I don't have that. I can't
that
just be like,
let me turn into an hour quick.
Yeah. And if we're stopping it at an hour, we're probably lying. If we're in my situation,
exactly.
like once
I
lay down,
if we get to an hour, we're there.
Yeah, if I'm there for an hour, I'm probably taking a nap at that point on an off day. Like,
right.
Yeah, so I've been slacking on that, but definitely it's definitely
time to get back into it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the same way. I just feel like my days that I work are so busy that I end up taking my days to just be me, just relax, or
definitely have to have.
Because my weekends, I'm always in Bloomington, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
I love being there, but being at home, I could be packing, or I could be making a little bit of extra cash.
Or not making a 4-hour drive.
Yeah, like round trip.
Right, but like for me, it doesn't really affect me because I'm leaving there after work, and then so it's really just like I'm going home, and then I go to work in the morning on Monday morning. Yeah. So if anything, I think it helps me but hurts me a little bit because the Friday night I am not getting to sleep until a little bit later, so it is messing with my sleep schedule a little bit. But with the Monday, it kind of forces me to get up a little bit earlier. So it kind of starts my week off.
Yeah. I would not be trying to make that drive.
It's really not that bad. I enjoy the drive.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's peaceful, and I feel like it wakes me up. Like, truly wakes me up.
He said, I ain't going to wreck today, bro.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. When you got two semis next to you trying to get onto 465 with you, it sucks.
You're not nodding
You
off,
can't,
bro.
exactly.
Wow.
You may have to edit that part.
Yeah.
That's an admission of guilt, brother.
That's an admission of guilt, brother.
That's pretty funny. I'll edit the parts out, but I'll leave the admission of guilt part in. That's so funny.
So when you're in those, like, out of the bad times, bad mental days, you know what I mean? When you're having a pretty good week or whatever, what are things that you're like, I can't go do that? Or, like, I will avoid this at all costs to stop yourself from, like, is there a thought process there? Is it just instinctual?
I won't let I think it's just, like, instinctual for me to just not play video games.
Okay.
Because I feel like once I do, I won't stop. Like, for at least a few hours, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like I've really tried to not do it as much, or at least when I should be doing something else.
Right.
Like, really doing something else. Like, if I have something on the schedule, like, in, let's say, an hour, I'm not going to sit down and play video games for 45 minutes.
Right, no. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I'm only playing if it's a genuine free day. Like, I have this allotted time to, like, just kind of chill and, you know, do whatever.
Right. Like,
I've done the same with video games.
Right. I haven't played video games in maybe a week and a half. So today, after I get done editing, I'm probably going to play for an hour. But, like,
that's why
I feel like I've earned it.
Once a week.
I feel like I've earned it. I haven't played in a minute. Work's been kind of nuts.
Yeah.
I've kind of been just on the go recently, so Fuck it.
Fair enough.
Go, you go. I gotta think.
you go. Trying to stay up late, bro. That sense of freedom is not real.
Yeah.
Like, it is not real.
Yeah.
I've actually been waking up I usually wake up, so if I gotta be at work at 10, it's about a 25-minute drive. So I'm up about an hour before I have to work, give myself about 30 minutes to get ready. And I've been waking up now about an hour early, and I feel much better waking up at 8:30 and going to sleep a little earlier than I did staying up for that extra, 30 minutes and not waking up till 9. Like,
right.
So
I've been waking up about 9:30.
When I have a few good days in a row and I'm like, I'll stay up for a little bit. I'm like, nah, dude, just go to bed, turn the phone off, like, just go to bed, bro. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I've avoided, is trying to just not stay up for it's really no reason, bro. Like, that sense of freedom, that's what I'm saying. It's not real. All you're doing is playing on your phone. Like, what? You know what I mean?
I like to turn on, like, YouTube on my phone and then turn the brightness down. Because I feel like having that noise definitely helps me sleep, but having the brightness up will keep me awake longer. Even with my eyes shut, I still see the brightness.
Yeah.
So I'll turn the brightness down and then turn the, like, true light on. It really helps me there.
There's nothing on when we go to bed.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys are weirdos.
I can't.
You guys aren't weirdos. I'm a weirdo.
I can't do this.
Yeah,
I used to be that.
Weirdos,
I used to be that way.
I need something on.
But I got older, and I was like, bro, I'm just something about the TV tonight. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. And I turned it off and slept like a little baby. And I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's the thing, is once I fall asleep, I sleep a lot better without having the TV on.
Yes.
But it takes me
thing.
forever to fall asleep because I just sit there and I think.
I do got
ADHD, so I just get stuck in like these deep.
Right, I feel like
not
it's
deep
difficult
thoughts,
for me to
but
fall
like
asleep without
I fall
noise.
into the rabbit hole deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bouncing around. You're like, think about this, and you're like, oh, well, what about this? What about this?
Right.
Or something to keep me focused, like, on to go into sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll watch those, like, long videos of, like, Click Productions or Kenny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to...
Don't get me wrong, though. Like, we'll watch something up until we're tired.
Right.
But, like, once I start to get that, like, all right, bro, you could go to sleep if you really tried. Like, that's when I'm like, all right, time to go.
That's where I mess up. Because then I'm just like, all right, let me fall asleep. And then I'd never turn it off.
Yeah. And then you wake up 8 times.
Right.
Roll over, and you're like, God, this is annoying.
Yep.
That's why I hate
And then that's
dude.
when I end up turning it off.
I
About
hate
4 or 5 in
dude.
the morning.
I need my TV has a sleep timer on it. I need to start setting it when I'm going to bed.
There you go.
The thing is, I think about it and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And then I'm laying in bed and it
And
just never crosses my mind, not even once.
So,
Exactly.
do we avoid these things? Do you think, like, just out of, I mean, we said out of instinct, or, like, is there a thought process of, like, I can't do this. Like, I know that because my sleep thing is definitely, I have to think about it. Because instinctually, I'm like, I'll stay up. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I know that I need to get off of it. So I have to think about it. If I don't think about it, if I just kind of fall into the trap, bro, I'm in the trap. Like, that's it.
I mean, for me, my biggest thing is, like, just falling into negative thought processes. You know what I mean? It's not really outside factors that get me back into negative spirals. It's just me.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer, but catch myself and, like, manually course correct. You know what I mean? And, like, calm myself down and get myself on a more positive train of thought.
Okay. I feel like for me, it's more instinctual. Just being... like, trying to keep myself on schedule as much as possible.
You know, before you even look at the game, like,
I'm not getting...
you don't pick up the game and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Exactly.
That's good, though.
Yeah.
To not even have that. Because then it's not even like a...
discipline thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is a discipline thing.
Right,
Though.
yeah.
Like, he's already got it ingrained. Like,
yeah.
But I was saying it's not like it's not as much of a... I think of what I'm trying to say.
Tempting.
Tempting. Thank you. Thank you. Tempting. Yes.
Jacob just about spit out his water.
Yeah. Almost did a spit take.
long morning.
Weight off his shoulders, bro. I mean, I have 3. 2 of them are very similar to questions you guys asked, so we'll skip over those. But what do you guys, when you guys get yourself like into negative spirals or like thought processes or whatever, or you feel yourself, or you're like working yourself up, how do you like calm yourself down? You know what I mean?
For me, it's it depends on which spiral I'm taking. If I'm just getting upset and I don't know why, because there are times like that where I will just get into that headspace where I don't want to look at my phone, I don't want to listen to music on the drive home, I don't want to talk to anybody, I don't want to deal with any problems right now because it'll just piss me off.
Yeah.
But you're not exactly sure why.
Yeah.
Do you guys have moments like those?
Oh yeah.
Moments like those are the hardest to get me out of.
I never drive without music though. Not that one. Right. Not that one.
But that's how bad it gets. Like I could probably like the music probably wouldn't piss me off, but I'm just not gonna plug my phone in. I don't care enough to plug my phone in.
Yeah, I got you.
Like I'll be sitting there like watching a show or something, and I'll be like 20 minutes in, and I'll be like, man, I really haven't been paying attention like this whole time. I haven't looked at my phone. Right. I've literally just been sitting here.
Yeah.
Like, but being in like that type of negative headspace, I feel like there's nothing that I know of right now that's able to pull me out of it rather than just time. And it doesn't last long.
Yeah.
It never does. But as far as like just being upset about something, I feel like I just have to remind myself that a good thing is going to come out of that negative action. So like I'm late for work. Damn, there might have been a wreck.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not
like just trying to look at a positive angle towards every negative situation.
Right. Mine has a lot less to do with the thought process because I'm kind of like you in that way where like it's hard once you get to thinking about that. That's kind of what I'm going to think about a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of times I notice, especially, well, for me, a lot of my negative spirals, like you're calling them, or outbursts, or whatever you want to call them, are kind of from a place of anger. You know what I mean? It's not as much sadness most of the time. Like I get sad, don't get me wrong, everybody does. You wake up, you feel bad or whatever like that. We all have those days. But when it comes to me, I'd say most of the time it's just like like you just want to flip. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I have to see kind of like a lot of times I see families or something like that, like out in public. If it happens out in public, I look around. I'm like, look around, like just pay attention to where you're at. Like you know, you could be in a different situation easily. Like, you know what I mean? And a lot of times, like I look to kids, you know what I mean? Just kind of like, man, bro, like to be that young and innocent, to not know the things that we have to grow up and find out. Like, man, you know what I mean?
As a kid, the world is like your playground.
Exactly,
literally.
exactly. Yeah. But I think like most in those situations when I look and I see the especially like a lot of these situations for me will happen like at the bowling alley or whatever, you know what I mean? When I'm like, you think about it, you're like, you're making a fool of yourself, bro, like right now, in the anger aspect of it. And I kind of look around like, all right, dude, there's kid could be watching you, or even worse, your younger brother is watching you, something like that. You know what I mean? As I've gotten older, I've tried to just be like, okay, set an example for the younger version of you, like who you would have wanted to see, how you would have wanted to see them tackle whatever you're going through right now. That's how I handle anything in public, really. Like, even with the sadness, like, would I want to see older me walking around sad, or even if it is a face? Some people have to put on a face for the day. Like, you're sad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, but the more of that positivity that you can just always push out, I feel like the better it is for you anyways. So
and that's how you put on that mask.
Exactly. But I kind of have to bring myself back down to earth, you know what I mean, to look around and be like, you could be in a different spot, bro. Very, very easily a worse spot. You know what I mean? So, but the sadness, like when you just kind of wake up, bro, and you know, you're like, I'm gonna have one of those days, bro. Like I could lay here for the rest of the day and it wouldn't change nothing. You know what I mean? Those, I feel like you just gotta get up. I mean, like that's it. You get up, go do something, take your mind off of it. Eventually, it's, if nothing else, you took that hour of your day and you didn't think about it. Even if you used the other 13 hours a day that you're awake to have a bad day, you can look back on that 1 hour and be like, well, I didn't do it all day though. So like I know the next time I can maybe even push an hour and a half, 2 hours. You know what I mean? Just trying to improve, I feel like, is the biggest thing. Like to have those days go from days at a time to maybe it's 2 days to maybe now, okay, I can have these days for 1 day at a time. Okay, well now I'm gonna have a bad 12 hours. Well now I'm gonna have a bad 8 hours. You know what I mean? Like that's how I kind of have navigated it too. Like from the past few years, it's like it used to be bad weeks. Now I have bad days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
hopefully next year you'll have bad
hours. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? It won't happen overnight.
No. Yeah, definitely not in this stage of hours. Right. Like that's not where I'm at.
Right.
And I would say I've been really trying to help myself for probably the better part of like a year and a half or so. Right. I would say.
Good.
So for me to go from I had bad weeks, and now I have a bad day or bad day or two every now and then, but
I think that's about where I'm at too.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're few and far between, but they're definitely not every month now.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm just like, I can't fucking do this. I'm done. Like that headspace, I feel like they're few and far
between.
Yeah, just the improvement aspect, bro. Like just to have less of them. That's the way I always try to do it. Like the only thing I get caught up in with that is just thinking about the last time, and that can make it worse sometimes or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if it's just always get up, go do it, just do something, you know what I mean? Don't sit here for this long. You did this last time. Like, don't think about nothing else. Just think about, all right, I sat here all day last time I felt like this. That's it. That's the only thought. You don't have to think about what happened or why you were, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So outside of your like immediate circle, who are some people that like have impacted your mental health in a positive way?
Give a random shout out to Matthew McConaughey. No, it sounds like a joke.
All right.
Real shit. Y'all need to read his book, Green Lights. If you're listening to this, or if you're in this room right now, you need to read this book because it's my.
You got it.
I do.
Let me have it.
I got it after him.
It is.
Be with y'all in a year when I'm done.
Like I said, I got ADHD. I don't read books.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I literally can't read most books. Not okay. That sounded bad.
But
like,
read,
all right, Floyd, man.
I can't focus. Like I will read 2 whole pages and not catch any of it.
Should try audio books. Yeah. He said cat in a hat. What an asshole.
I'm just playing.
Jimmy Kimmel said that who will put up $50,000 on
I'm so glad you get the reference. You can read 1 page of a Harry Potter book.
But anyways,
what was the question?
Who outside of your immediate circle, and I'm talking like outside of close friends, family, significant others, anything like that?
So he said Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, Green Lights, Matthew McConaughey. It's like his memoirs and the sort of culmination of he's been journaling since he was like 17. So he's got a lot of notes in there. And it's very, I don't know. It's hard to explain. You just got to read it.
Yeah.
I don't read, like I said, I don't read books. And I was knocking out a chapter a night. Like I read this book within a week. Like, y'all got to check it out.
Gotcha.
I would say he's not in my inner circle anymore just because of how non-frequent I see him now. The Skylar now. He's a completely different person since he had his kid.
So you like, is he inspirational to you?
Right.
Like, or is it like you guys have conversations and he kind of helps you out? Like,
so it's inspirational for me. Just seeing how much he's changed and he's like devoting his life.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Like he was gonna leave his job. He was gonna leave Aaron's and take a job that was gonna pay him $30,000 less.
Jeez.
But he stayed at Aaron's and is making over 6 figures.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Good for
Like
him.
he's already got a college fund set up for the kid. Like,
sheesh. Yeah. Kids, what, like 2 months?
Not even.
That's nuts.
Not
Good
even.
for him, man.
It's insane how much he's changed his like course of action to from who he used to be.
Yeah, good for him, dude.
Yeah, he's killing it. What about you?
I'll tell you what, bro. I think mine would have to be my Uncle Ryan and Aunt Sarah.
Yeah.
Like,
you've always talked
they're
about how much you look
always
up to.
positive, bro. I mean, like, always positive. In the most, like, random situations, too. Like, where you, and I'm not going to say in the worst because, like, I feel like you always have those people that can always see the positivity. But, like, in the most, like, basic things, they're like, I love this. Like, this is awesome. Like, in the way they talk to their kids is the same way they breed that, you know, positive energy right through them. And it's awesome, dude. Like, it is really fun to go over there and talk to them, like, for family stuff, or even just to talk to one of the kids. You can just be, the whole time, dude, you just smile because you're like, they're awesome, dude. Like, you know what I mean? And I have always wanted to be like my Uncle Ryan, like, in multiple ways. And the last few years, they've known, like, I don't talk to them about it, but they just know that you go through rough times. Like, they'll send me messages and be like, hey, like, hope you're doing all right, and we love you, and blah, blah, blah. And, like, every time I got one of those, it, like, you know what I mean? It was like, man, because you get in those spots like you're talking about, when you get stuck like that, you trick yourself every time. You're like, it's just me, man. Like, they don't really care, like, blah, blah, blah. No matter who it is. It could be, like, somebody that you've been around forever, and you can really trick yourself into being like, they don't care about you, bro. Like, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then you get one of those, dude, and it really does, like,
depression is your biggest hater, man.
Yeah, bro. And, but you get a message like that from somebody that, like, you look up to anyways and that you really love, and something, you know, it just hits you in a different way. They've helped me out more than they probably ever would know, just from those small messages at the most random times. Like, Sarah messaged me after the holiday classic and was like, hey, I know absolutely nothing about bowling, but this looks awesome, and, like, I'm really proud of you, and blah, blah, blah. And, like, literally I read it and was like, I was like, man, like, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, it really hurt. Not really hurt, but it really felt good. Like, and hits you in the feels, dude.
Man, one tear.
Yeah, right.
One manly tear.
Those messages in rough times are even in the best times, though, like, when you know it's genuine, because some people are just like, oh, congrats, because it was a cool thing or whatever, you know what I mean? But, like, to go into detail and, like, talk about it, like, they're always those people.
And that, you know, it's genuine when you post something and, like, they don't always contact you on a positive note.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they don't only text me when things are good. They text me no matter what.
I couldn't figure out the words.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, they'll send me a message whether I say I'm having the best day or if I'm having the worst day. They're gonna say, hey, we love you either way. Like,
either way.
And
that's so refreshing to have people like that in your life.
And they're really like they're Jesus lovers, bro. Like, they're big into the church and stuff like that, but they don't push it on anybody. That's always good. Open and inviting, like, for it. Like, if you want to come to church, like, come on, like, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And it's opened me up to a different world, too. Like, I wasn't like that at all. Like, I didn't really care. I mean, I still don't go to church or anything, but, like, I do believe in God now, and I do believe, like, in power of prayer and blah, 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 like, all that type of stuff. And that in itself, I know, has to be from them. Like, it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't around them. Like, they describe it in a very different way, I feel like.
I feel like most people almost think of it as, it has to be this, it has to be this, and it has to be this.
And that's not them.
It's not, and it's not in my view either.
Right.
Like, growing up, that's how I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was taught, like, you have to do this, this, and this to get into heaven. That's not what I believe that God is actually there for.
Right.
And praying, he doesn't give you answers.
Yeah, I don't look for answers either.
He will provide you with the opportunity to get better.
Yes. I totally agree.
And that's something that in 2023 also, I'm backtracking a little bit, that I really had to come to terms with and understand that each thing that happens in my life is just an opportunity to get better.
Exactly.
And it's not just something that happens to bury me down or something that I just can't defeat.
Mm-hmm.
It is an opportunity for me to get better, sent by something powerful to me.
He puts you in this situation because he knows you can conquer this situation. Exactly. And that's how that's helped me out a lot too. Like, knowing that you're only in this situation because you believe someone else has put you here. Like, he wouldn't put you there to put you in harm. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, type of deal.
Right.
And if he does, then that's what's meant for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if that is it, if I feel like I'm about to make this decision solely based on a outside force or whatever, and that is my final choice, then I feel like I did what I was supposed to do.
Right.
You know what
Exactly.
I mean? That it has saved me for a lot, also from the anxiety of death. Like I would freak out, bro. I'd have bad freakouts at night where I was like, dude, I don't know what happens. I don't want to know. Like I'm about to freak.
Dude,
you know what I mean? We talk about it too much. I still will. You know what I mean? But I'm less fearful in situations like I no longer think I'm gonna get shot at when I'm walking in random places. You know what I mean? Like I can just walk.
You don't have
you know
that
what I mean?
anxiety of, oh shit, I walk
around
out of the
this
house,
corner, I
this
might get
be
hit.
the last
Yeah.
time that I do this.
Exactly. I mean, I still have it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but like,
No, of course, that's life.
I can drive on a road and
Right.
not think, oh, I wonder if this car is gonna not paying attention, or are they gonna stop? Are they gonna come into traffic? Are they swerve into my lane? You know what I mean? Like I don't have those constant thoughts like I used to after kind of opening myself up to this. And I don't think that's the only answer either. Like I think there's different ways to deal with the idea of death, and I think that is definitely one of them. You know what I mean? Like that's the one that I found that works for me the best, is being able to be like, okay, like if you believe in this, then like this makes sense. So like I'm gonna do this for my reasoning and for God and for blah blah blah. I don't know.
I really wish I could, man.
It was hard for me too, dude, but like I kind of forgot about like the Bible and the church and stuff like that. Like I don't view it that way at all.
You have to, because it's just like, that's not, in my opinion, the word of God. That's written by somebody who supposedly heard it from God.
Right, exactly.
That is, in my opinion, nobody's heard his voice. Right. Nobody knows his true voice.
Yeah, I just also can't believe anything from thousands and thousands and thousands. You know what I mean? Like, I can't.
Like, I believe that some of that stuff could have happened. Like the Ark, I believe that happened. Not to the fullest extent. I believe that it's a game of telephone.
Right, yeah, that's the thing.
I think it's a game of telephone. It's all been exaggerated over time.
It's the same thing in history. Like, not all this stuff that we learn from, the beginning of America is the same, and that's not even thousands of years ago. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that was hundreds.
Yeah,
and everything's.
It's hard for me to read something like that that's that old and be like, or they're like, oh, well, this is a new one.
Believe in it fully.
Right.
I don't I can't do that.
But I also don't want to be the type to, well, I'm gonna pick this part out and this part out.
Right.
That doesn't make sense to me either. I think if you read the Bible, you can come up with your own interpretation of what makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm also like, something has to make sense for me to believe it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I don't know.
I found a lot more.
I'm also not that into it, like with the Bible and the meaning of all of it either.
I found a lot more connection with like the historical act, like Jesus, the person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like the viewpoints he had, because he was radically like inclusive. Like he would openly hang out with like prostitutes and just talk to them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And
love thy neighbor.
Exactly. And exactly, yeah. Like, he literally just was looking to spread love. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's what I believe. Just that's what God is just he put us on here to survive with each other for love and positivity. That's my viewpoint of what God is intended for us.
Yeah.
Like, for us, this should be our heaven. That's also why I believe in reincarnation. In his viewpoint, this is our heaven.
That's an interesting standpoint on that.
That is interesting, yeah. I don't know that I've heard that.
Yeah, me either. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know enough about like religion
I don't
itself to really have a full conversation. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But
like, I don't know anything like on a historical thing. Like, I couldn't sit here and have a debate with Neil deGrasse. Like, I couldn't.
Bill Nye would eat your ass.
Right. Exactly. Like, I don't know, but
have you guys seen that video?
I have.
Bill Nye debating with a creationist. kind of funny. Not gonna lie.
Bill Nye's not even a real scientist.
Yes, he is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I thought I saw that he was not.
No, he's a for real big boy scientist.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I have
Good for him.
2 final questions, but they kind of go hand in hand.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask, when was the last time that you both apologized and forgave somebody? I'll answer first so you guys can think about it. But if we're talking like in a literal term, I apologize every day probably for something, you know what I mean? Just randomly like, ooh, my bad. Like, I'm sorry. But like in a legit apology, me and Abby got into it the other day, but it was like in the morning. And it was so silly. Like, it wasn't, neither one of us even cared. Like, it was just the fact of like we both thought we were right. You know what I mean? And so like I kind of took the drive to work to just chill, and I didn't say anything to her. Then I got to work and I texted her, I was like, hey, like, apologize. There's no reason for us to start the day off like that. Like, I'd love to restart. And that's the smoothest that it's ever went as far as having a rough start to the day and getting back on track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that felt pretty good because I also don't usually take the time to have a real apology. Like, taking that drive to work was very beneficial for me to actually think of like, okay, what just happened? You know, what can we do to get away from this? Blah, blah, blah. Instead of just being like, all right, well, I want this to be over, so like, my bad. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I think we all have done this. Like, but the more that I can think about it, I feel like the better the apology is actually going to, you know, actually do for an apology. So
I think for me, my forgiving would have to be, okay, so this might be cheesy and take the cheap way out, but I genuinely feel like this is what it is. But I forgave myself Monday night. I was having a very bad day Monday. Mm-hmm. It was just like everything was thrown at me. Like we were talking about it earlier. Like it was just one of those days where everything is just elevating my pissed off, if that makes sense. So Monday night, I just kind of went into that dark headspace where I wasn't listening to music on the way home. I didn't care about my phone at all. I really just had to sit with my thoughts and like forgive myself on having such a rough day.
Yeah.
I would say that's the last time I forgave. Last time I apologized was yesterday. Jade was having a pretty rough day at work, and I wasn't as involved in the conversation as I wanted to be. I was in the conversation, but I wasn't adding to the conversation.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like I should have been asking her what was going on that was struggling her at work, or what she was thinking on why this was happening, or stuff other than that. But I apologized to her after she got off work and we had talked about it for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I would say that's the last time I apologized. And
good.
I guess honestly, the last time I can think I apologized was Monday when I was late to bowling. Like,
it's all good.
15 minutes late. I was like, hey guys, my bad, sorry. But to be honest, I really can't think of a time that I like needed to forgive somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. My forgiveness has been more of like in the public, like something happens, you get mad, you know what I mean? Somebody does something that pissed me off. Okay. Like I have kind of recently been like, you know what, bro, you don't know what's going on. Like, just chill. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you don't know what kind of day they're having, so just leave it alone. So I've done that quite a few times recently, especially like, you guys know me, you know I don't like to have conversations just with anybody all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't just like to go talk to people at league and stuff. Like, my friends, obviously, yeah, but like when you just come up and talk to me, like, it's not my most favorite thing.
Yeah.
I always entertain the conversation. I will never ignore somebody. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a jerk.
Right.
I just don't really enjoy the conversation most of the time. So a lot of times when I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, in my head, I'm like, I have recently been like, you don't know. Like, maybe you're the only person that they're really going to talk to today. So I've tried to, even with people that I don't care to talk to, that I see multiple times a week at the bowling alley or whatever, still engage in the conversation and don't just be a board for them to stand there and talk to. You know what I mean? I mean, I would say that kind of lies into forgiveness, because most of the time I genuinely am like, bro, get me out of here. Like, I don't want to be here. Like, stop talking to me.
Right. No, I'm with you on that. I try to be forgiving of people I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Try to give them a chance every time.
Like when people get super upset at like fast food workers or
yeah, that's so
anything
silly,
like
bro.
that. Like, yeah,
so silly, especially like of being, like I feel like that's most people's first job.
Yeah,
So
right.
I feel like you should understand a little bit more.
Like most
I
of
know
the people
me
working here are
in,
under the age of 20. Like you're really about to scream at us, bro.
Exactly. And I feel like me having worked in a few, I am a lot more.
Yeah, I definitely after working there working at a couple different fast food places, I am definitely
a lot more patient.
that stuff is frustrating sometimes, bro. To work in there, especially you get people that just lie about stuff too. Like, well, I said I wanted this. I'm like, no, you didn't. You can say you forgot. You can come back and tell me that. Like, but
I'll probably help you out.
Yeah, all right. I'll probably still get you something, man.
Right. Going backtracking a little bit on what you had said, I wanted to ask, when was the first time you guys actually realized in your life, like, that everybody around you
is living a different
life?
I
think for mine, it was right after the pandemic.
Yeah.
I think then it was like, oh shit, like we're all going through this right now.
Right.
And everybody is losing loved ones and like terrified.
Right.
Mine was at a very young age.
Me too. I was gonna say.
I feel like I remember going to school, talking to my friends, and then like when we'd leave school, I remember being like, where are they going? You know what I mean? Like, if I'm going home, like, where do all these other people go? Right. You know what I mean? Like, and then I kind of thought about it, and then that's when I got obsessed with, like, learning the streets, because I wanted to know where all my friends lived. You know what I mean? So I wanted to, hey, like, my friend lives on that road, and my friend lives on that road. So at a very young age, I kind of remember figuring out where my friends lived and, like, stuff like that, and it made me think about, oh, dude, they go home to their own parents and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's probably so cool.
I never actually developed that thought process into it until after the pandemic, but I had always like known everybody had but like mine was more on I have thoughts every minute of every day. So do you. So does literally every single person on the world. Like, it's just insane to think about. And I think that's when it like really clicked for me, like, oh shit, so many people are having so many different thoughts at the same time. How are we all alive?
It definitely wasn't that in depth, but like I was still even at a young age, like I remember that stuff, like thinking like about, I wonder what they're having for dinner. Like it's the same thought process. It's just not putting those same words into it.
Right. Yeah. I think that's when I really like clicked on it.
Yeah.
I have a very vivid memory. I don't remember how old I was, but I was young. And we were driving somewhere, and it was nighttime, and there were it was on the highway, and there were a bunch of cars going the other way, and I was like, they're all going somewhere. Yeah. Like, every individual car is going, probably, most of them are going to different places.
Yeah.
And they, like, had a day today. Like, they did something.
Right. It's...
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, right. That's kind of wild.
And you'll never know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or like looking at people driving like sitting on the porch out on West.
I was gonna say that too.
Street address.
But West 26 ain't gonna tell nobody nothing.
Fair enough. West 26th Street.
It could be any one of them houses.
Exactly. Sitting on the porch on West 26th Street, just looking at cars going past, like, the whole ass person. Yeah. Like, going about their day, and I'll never talk to them again. Or never see them again.
I remember another big point of that was actually going to my first friend's house. Like, going over there, and I'm like, wow, bro. Like, that room's so cool. Like, you know what I mean? It's probably the same as ours. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't nothing special, but I remember Buddy didn't even have a TV in there. But I was like, dude, this is just so cool. Like, you don't have a TV? That's awesome. You just do other stuff? Like, that's great. You know what I mean? Like, and knowing that I didn't really believe that. Like, if my mom would have took away my TV,
you would hate it.
Exactly.
But having that fresh,
exactly. Yeah. Having that fresh mindset, like, I remember being like, man, like, you just actively are always doing something. Like, the only time you're on the TV is out in the living room. That's kind of cool. Like, You know what I mean? That was another thought of like, yeah, you had. Well, yeah, that's more of
it's
what it
cool
was.
that you do that.
Yeah, right. Well, that was like what Jacob was just saying. Like, it was realizing you got to do something to keep yourself busy all day, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing something else. And like, I wonder how many other people do that. Like, you know what I mean? That was definitely an eye opener. Like going to your first friend's house, probably to be like, man, we all really are doing different things, bro.
Yeah.
Like. But in the more of the, like, spiritual, like, you start thinking about, like, their thoughts and, you know, stuff that wasn't until much later.
Right,
yeah.
But just the simple idea of, man, we're all doing something different all day.
I mean, I want to say it was much later for me. I want to say I was probably in, like, middle school when I started thinking of, like...
Wait, I'm talking about, like, from first to second grade into... Right, yeah. I mean, we're talking a decade.
Right. But it was, like... I'm conscious... Like I'm I'm conscious of everybody around me, but so are they.
Right.
And I'm like we're noticing each other. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh.
You know why it's called Arby's?
Roast beef.
Yeah.
What?
Arby's.
Roast beef.
Roast beef.
Arby's. They have the meats.
They do have the meats. That's wild. No, I didn't know that. And I worked there. That's kind of crazy.
And I worked there. They probably told you in your onboarding or whatever.
They told me something, but I didn't think it was that.
Not that we speak for
the history, bro.
Not that we speak for the brand of Arby's, of course.